literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this will be the biggest investment that most people will ever make in their life.
Welcome to the 5 Questions Podcast, where we unlock real estate and business insights one question at a time.
It's time to take back control of your time and your business. Join me with this free AI real estate challenge today. Start working smarter and not harder. Now, I'm not talking about some complex test that takes a PhD to understand. So I'm talking about easy to use practical AI tools that can save you time and make your work easier and help you to grow your real estate faster.
Welcome to the 5 Questions Podcast. My name is Mario Lamar. Our guest on today's show, she is an expert entrepreneur, CEO, and founder of Strategic Success Consulting. She has helped countless investors and business owners reach new heights of success, and she is here to share her insights on overcoming challenges and creating systems for long-term growth. Welcome, Danielle Chiasson. Danielle, welcome to the 5 Questions Podcast today.
I'm happy to be here, Mario. I'm happy to be here and share and pour. And I'm curious what these 5 questions are.
Well, listen, Danielle, the concept of the podcast is real simple. 5 questions, business or real estate related, and we get straight to the point. You ready?
Love it. Ready.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So as mentioned in the intro, Danielle, you've helped many investors, business owners reach new heights of success. What's the common challenge you see them face? And maybe how do you guide them through it?
Wow. There's a lot. But I guess, if I were to say top 3, number 1 is mindset. They don't believe they can, or they don't think they can. So I really hit hard on mindset right out of the gate. Number 2 is knowledge. So here's the number 1 thing is that people can't pull the trigger on investing because they don't have the confidence. And the reason why they don't have the confidence is because they don't have the knowledge. And so that's a gap that we share. And there's a ton of information, including this podcast, including my podcast, my YouTube channel, everybody's YouTube channel, everybody's social media. There's a ton of information out there, and it tells you what to do. And it comes in little pieces. It's almost like a massive web in jigsaw puzzle, and people have to try to put it together, but they don't have the picture, so they can't actually piece it together. And so what we specialize in is actually piecing that jigsaw puzzle together for you and bonding that with really solid education and information so that now you have the confidence to go out and pull the trigger. So it's really important for people to understand what they're doing so that they can make the right investment decision, because the investments that the world that we live in, the investments are not small. We're not talking about a $5,000 investment or $10,000. I mean, we're talking literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and this will be the biggest investment that most people will ever make in their life. And so, you really got to know what you're doing. And there's a reason why people hold back. Fear is actually a self-preservation mechanism that we have wired inside us. It's actually made to protect us. So if you're being fearful about something or feeling fear about something, it's because there's an imminent danger, whether it's real or perceived, but there's a potential danger ahead of you. And so it's saying, whoa, put on the brakes here, hold off. And then that's why people hold off, because you don't have all of the tools, the resources, or the knowledge in order to make a smart decision moving forward. So that's what we do. That's what we specialize in, is getting people the information that they need in order to make a confident decision moving forward. That's the right decision for them. So most times people come to us if they've already invested, it was the wrong investment for them, they've made mistakes, and they're like, I know I need to invest in real estate if I want to gain long-term wealth. And so they're moving forward, but they just didn't have enough information in order to make a strategic or intentional decision for themselves. And then they come to us, and then we kind of unravel everything. And then we're like, okay, well, moving forward, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to do this based on your goals, your resources, and what you have available. to commit to this. So to make sure it's successful.
I like your analogy of a puzzle, and it's true. If you've never done a puzzle and you start with like a 5,000 piece puzzle, you're going to be lost. Too much information, too many pieces to put together. But if you team up with a professional who's been doing puzzles over and over, he knows where to start
Yeah.
putting it together. And that's exactly like you said, that's what you specialize in, and helping making sense in all the pieces before you throw yourself into a big venture like real estate.
And like putting a puzzle together on your own, you can probably put the border together because those are the obvious pieces, right?
Yeah.
So people can go out there and buy the first property. They can, save some money, invest somewhere, but they only get that border and then they hit a ceiling, they hit a wall. They don't know where to go. They can't get more pieces. And then it takes time in order to go through all those pieces to try to, because you don't even have a picture. And so we're there to help you paint that picture so that you can see exactly what you're doing, what direction you're going in, and start actually putting the pieces together. But doing it on your own, can anybody do it on their own? For sure. But it's going to cost you more time. And sadly, most of the time will cost you more money too, because you're going to make mistakes and learn as you go, right? It's like an on-the-job training. But when you have a coach in your corner, you can really kind of miss those things that you would do because we can see it coming before it actually happens and say, no, don't do that. Do it this way, or, structure yourself this way. And we can save a lot of time and money for you guys doing that.
Absolutely. That brings us to our second question. And talking about, having systems, you're passionate about creating streamlined systems for sustainable growth. Can you walk us through one of your most maybe impactful system you created that you've implemented in your business?
Wow. Where do I start? I mean, I got my hiring system. I got my tenant vetting system. I got a system for everything. My event planning system, like anything you do repeatedly, you need to build a system around, because what happens is you're going to miss the mark on something. Something's going to try. You're going to miss something because there's just so many steps to do for anything from start to finish.
Yeah.
And every time you do it, if you don't have a system, you're relying on your brain to actually pull that out, right? And you're going to forget something. And that's normal because we're human. And so the system acts as your second brain. There's a whole theory out there about now leveraging technology, leveraging things in order to act as your second brain. And what that means is use a system or technology or people. You can leverage people in your business. I do when you hire people, and use that to act as your second brain to remember the things that needs to get done so you don't have to remember. And by doing that, you're ensuring that whoever it is, that's, if you're delegating it or yourself, you just go down the list and you don't use up all that bandwidth just to remember to do this. And then if you miss something because you don't have a system, now you feel down. It's like, oh man, it could cost you, right? Cost you time, could cost you money. Typically, if you make a mistake, it's one of both or both. And so having these systems prevents that from happening. And it preserves your energy to be able to do more in a day. People say to me all the time, Danielle, how do you get so much done in a day? You're all over social media. You're all over, you're doing this, like you're doing this, you're doing that. And I go, because I have systems.
Yeah.
I don't have to stress about getting stuff done. And if I need to, I can delegate, and I delegate the system, and I know the person is just going to follow that system. So there's less management on my part. And so it's just about being smarter, being intentional, right? Work smarter, not harder, guys. And systems gets you there. So I'm going to tell you this. I'm the system girl. Like, you just started something. I don't know. This could be the last question you ask me because we could just talk about this all day. But here's how you do it. I want your audience to get something tangible out of their time listening. And so I want to tell you, systems, this is how you do it. If you do something repeatedly, I have a system for acquisition. I have a system for disposition of any real estate. So anything you do multiple times, when you're doing it, just build a checklist. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. And then anytime you go through that process again, just go down that checklist. And then there's going to be stuff that you missed when you built it out the first time. Just add it as you're going through the process again the second time, and then the third time. And then you're going to end up with a checklist that has everything. And then when you have that checklist, that is the start of building a process, right? You start it with a checklist, and then you can start adding more information to
refining
each step. Absolutely, right? It's like, for example, if I talk about the acquisition process, one of the things that I learned the hard way is that, it wasn't on my checklist to get insurance. And so the day before closing, I got my lawyer saying to me, yeah, do you have the insurance binder? And I'm like, what insurance? What?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I need to get the insurance binder. So that's on my pre-checklist, not my week of closing. It's pre-closing that I'm
Yeah.
actually ordering that. And so, but now that's on my checklist, right? It's part of my process. And by the way, I have 3 checklists. I have my pre-closing, my week of closing, and then my post-closing checklist. And so, and now you're starting to build a process. Do you see how that kind of comes together? Yeah. And so once you, like I said, once you have those steps, you can dial it in. And then now, like under that insurance one, I have my insurance person's name and contact information, their email and website, so that if I delegate it, I can say, here, call, if I delegate to one of my admins, call Amanda at this insurance company and tell her we need an insurance binder on this property that we're closing on. Done. And so, yeah, it's just a lot easier. And I don't have to break my brain. I don't have to go looking for the information to send it off to them. Here's the checklist
You can
with
actually
all of the information.
you can actually put your energy into things that really matters instead of putting your energy trying to remember, or did I forget something?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like if you don't have these checklists, guys, you're going to just spend a lot of energy. Like how many people get to 4 or 5 o'clock and they're just done? I mean, we're here. I've been working since 8:30 this morning in front of my computer, been in meetings all day, doing some admin work on my business. I've got this podcast. I got a meeting at 1 o'clock. I got another meeting at 2:15 and one at 3 o'clock. And that, like, I'm just back to back to back. And I have a group coaching program tonight, which is 90 minutes to 120 minutes with my group coaching program for the pathway of clarity and prosperity. And so, like, how can I have these long days, right?
Yeah.
And still have the energy? I have the same energy tonight, as I do today on this podcast with you. And that's just because, like, I'm just smart with how I'm spending my energy. And one of the biggest things is just managing your energy by having these systems. So I'm big on, there's so much benefit to systems. When you're delegating a system to someone, the other thing about that is that that person now knows exactly what they need to do and they can meet your expectations because it's clearly outlined. And one of the biggest thing, and I don't know if hiring here, question on hiring or managing people is on your questions list, but one of the biggest things about managing people is you really want to give them a clear outline of what your expectations are for them in order for them to deliver, because people who work for you want to deliver. And if you're not clear in those expectations, they're going to miss the mark because they're kind of throwing a dart at a dartboard blindly because they don't even know where the dartboard is. So you got to give them that dartboard. This is what you're aiming for. This is what I need you to do. And the other benefit to that is not just happy employees that are going to deliver what you want, but they're not going to make as many mistakes because it's clearly outlined. So they're not going to forget something. So I don't want to say to my admin, hey, we just got this property under contract. Can you make sure you get everything done that we need to prep for closing? No, that's not what I tell them. I have a checklist that clearly outlines everything. They're not going to miss anything. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when employers come back and say, oh, I hired somebody, but they don't get everything done. Did you give them a clear outline? Like, it's your job to make sure that they know their job. And so there's just so much benefit beyond managing your energy. It really, it just really eliminates a lot of mistakes in your business and headaches and misses. So you're not going back and cleaning up that stuff. You got happier employees. It's just so much better.
Well, I want to go to question number 3 because it kind of ties together. With your experience, what is the key to maintaining stability in a real estate business, especially when markets constantly changes?
Yeah, well, you need cash flow. And so a lot of people failed in 2022 going into 23 and 24 because they were over leveraged and they didn't have cash flow, or they didn't have enough cash flow. And what I mean by that, like, people think over leveraging is over at 100% loan to value. I think over leveraging is when you're at that 80-85% loan to value on your portfolio. If you want to have a stable portfolio that will ride out the real estate market cycles, and we have 4 phases of the economic cycle for real estate, And recession is one of them. So you've got a recession, you've got recovery. So when you go into hypersupply, into recession and recovery, which is where we are now, in that recession going into recovery, and it's flat, you need to make sure that you have enough loan to value in your portfolio to manage that, so you've got room to move. So what happens with the economy when there's inflation? They need room to move, right? So
Yeah.
they need to know that they can increase rates without bankrupting people, and then balance that out. Well, for us, if we need to make an adjustment on our portfolio, maybe we make an adjustment on the amortization so that we stretch out the amortization and we can lower our debt service. Maybe whatever that is. Like, you just can't, people get so complacent when things are good, and then they just don't stick to the fundamentals and they take risks that they don't need.
They
But
want
if
that
you,
tax-free money. They want to
yeah,
pull out
well,
that tax-free money.
they just keep, and I get that. You want to pull that out, and reinvest it, but to a certain degree, you need some stability in that portfolio. You don't want it to be at a point where, if there's a move in the market, whether the prices come down, now your loan to value is a lot less, whether the interest rates go up and now your debt servicing is higher, maybe the rental rates drop and your cash flow dries up. Like, you need to have a bit of breathing room.
Yeah.
Okay. And having a stable portfolio, slow and steady wins the race here, guys. When you're doing long-term investments, you don't want to put yourself out there. So what I tell people is, look, the first property, the second property, the third property, that's going to be your riskiest properties until you stabilize them and get some extra equity in there. You want to be around maybe 70% loan to value is what I would say, 65 if you really want to play it safe, but have some wiggle room there so that you can maneuver like the Bank of Canada does. They maneuver in the economy in order to survive a storm. If you have no room to maneuver and you don't have that wiggle room, you're going to put yourself in a pickle, especially if, let's say, you lose your job, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the economy, but what if you lose your job? And a lot of people were quick to leave their jobs because the appreciation was going up so high. I mean, we were in double-digit appreciation there for 2-3 years, 2019, 2021. I mean, the appreciation was insane, unlike we've ever seen before. And then people were like, oh, I'm going to quit my job because I can just refi out in 18 months and take out 80,000, 100,000.
Yeah.
And then just live off of that for a year and continue to buy. But they just kept their portfolio very leveraged. And yeah, and all of that dried up, guys. And so you want to make sure that you're in a position where you're really stable. So after you have your second or third property and you have 3 properties that are stable, then what happens is, yeah, you're going to take on another project. And that one might be, at a high loan to value, and you might be over 100% loan to value if you're doing renovations. I'm a flipper. I get it. I like to do burrs. I like to flip. And so, yeah, you're going to be over 100% loan to value for a short amount of time, but you need to have those systems built in. Have those systems built in so you can turn it quickly, because flipping and burring, you don't want to be in that space where you're taking so long and leaving money on the table. It's legitimately, the longer you are in a flip or a burr project, the more you're eroding away on your profit margins. So it's got to be, it's the velocity of money, speed of implementation. You need to move quickly on that. So systems are really important when you're doing flips and burrs, like any big project. And then stabilize it as quickly as you can. And then you can, pull that money out if it's a burr flip and you've got some cash coming back into you, and then recycle that money, put it into the next project. But again, systems are going to be what's going to help you kind of move through that process a lot faster.
It seems like we repeat it over and over, but it is the key to success. If you don't have those systems in place, you're not going to grow as fast and as stable. You're not going to be as stable as you could be.
Yep. Well, then people that failed through 22 and 23, I mean, those were the people that just had too many projects on their plate. They, tried to grow too fast, and they weren't strategic. They weren't intentional. And then they were over leveraged. Like every single person that I've studied that have failed over the last few years, they were over leveraged. That's the one common thing that they had. And so that is the one thing that we are 100% against is over leveraging. And we caution people, like, you don't want to be over leveraged. You can really destroy everything you've built and you can lose your reputation. Like, there's just too much at risk. Slow and steady, slow and steady. I mean, real estate is a long game. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah. Brings us to our fourth question. And you're doing both. You're expert in real estate, but also a business coach. I'd like to know, I'm probably going to know it's the systems, but how do you balance the two? And how can entrepreneurs find the synergy between them by doing real estate and maybe, building a business at the same time?
Yeah, well, if you're okay, well, when you say build a business at the same time, is it building your real estate portfolio or is it building a separate business? Because
Well,
it's two separate things, right?
for example, in your case, maybe tell us your experience on how you deal with real estate and your business coaching at the same time.
Okay, so right now my real estate is on hold because I'm building this real estate coaching business, right? So I took my real estate coaching, which was one-to-one before, and going one-to-many now. We're building a massive business and community around that. I mean, our coaching program has multi-layers to it. So depending on where you are on your journey will depend on where you go in it. So my business that I'm building right now is massive. So just like flipping houses or acquiring properties into your portfolio, you don't want to do things all at the same time and have too much on the go, and you're opening yourself up to some risk that you don't need. And so I'm not, like, your attention needs to be where it needs to be on what the project is at the moment. And so right now my real estate is just on hold. I have what I have in my portfolio, and then I've got my coaching business that is not stable until it's there. When I say it's not stable, I'm still in the building phase, right? So I'm still building. I'm building a lot of things. I mean, we've got more events coming up. We've got informational webinars, or I've got an idea in my head that I think is going to be so amazing. I can't wait to implement. But like, I'm just doing a lot in the business right now to have an amazing client journey for the clients. And so I'm still building that until I stabilize. When I'm done building and I've got all the components put together, and once I'm done, I guess the project, you could call it, then I can let the team, I can kick back, let the team run it. Then I know, okay, this is what I need to do every day. I need to show up for these calls, or I need to do, you know what I mean? So that is, till I get there, I'm not going back into real estate. I know at the beginning of this year, I was a little bit ambitious and I said, I'm opening up an MFT because my next step in real estate, I want to get away from these small multis, and I actually want to do purpose-built multis, and I want larger apartment buildings. So I don't want to do these smaller ones anymore. But I realize that's a big project, and I'm not stable enough here where I can be a little less hands-on and more hands-off to put my energy there. So just like flipping, you need to put your energy where it is. So balancing a business. So if you have a separate business, until you're stable in that business and you can put some time and energy and commit that into building a portfolio, I don't recommend that you do that. So you can take your money, invest it somewhere, which you could do is maybe invest it passively. You could do, asset-based lending. So you can lend out on mortgages or put it in the financial markets if you want. But definitely let your money go to work for you. You could, invest it into a REIT if you want. But definitely invest it where you get a decent return while you're stabilizing your business. But when you have the time that you can commit, then you can pull out that money and start investing into real estate, right? But if you do it kind of, if you're just half-assing it, you're just opening yourself up to risks you don't need.
I like what you said, because every entrepreneur is people that are ambitious. They want to, they have projects, they have visions, they want to implement it. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in your life or your business life is to hit the brakes and slow down a little bit. It's the same. I'm exactly at the same spot as you are. In my portfolio, the acquisition side of things is on hold because I got this podcast, and then I'm running the Summit at Sea, and I'm working on a branding and networking program for real estate investors. So it's a lot at once, and you cannot do it all good. You can 100%. If you have a team, many people, and you have those budgets. But if it's you, you need to slow down and have, I don't know if humility is the right word, but you need to have the humility to say it's okay to hit the brakes. No, nobody cares anyways if people look at me, right? And then say, oh, look, he's slowing down. And yeah, it's okay to slow down sometimes. And that's very
Yeah,
important.
I totally agree with that 100%. It's yeah, humility would be a good word. It is a lot ego that plays into that
Yeah,
because what happens is people look at other people and they compare themselves to other people and they're like, well, that person, look at Danielle, she's doing this, she's doing that,
yeah,
she's doing that. And then they think that they should be able to go in. But my time, my resources, what I have available to me, my knowledge is at a very different level than maybe that other person. And you're not doing yourself any justice by comparing yourself to anybody else. Everybody's journey is unique
yeah,
and you just got to own your own. The only thing you should be comparing yourself is to yourself yesterday and make sure that you're a little bit closer to where you're going, to where your goals are today than you are yesterday. And ultimately, I think people miss the mark on that because they think they should be doing this, they should be doing that. And in fact, I told a student today on a call, I'm like, you need to lose the word should out of your vocabulary. Started laughing at me. I go, no, I'm actually dead serious right now. And this is kind of the thing that I was telling you about mindset.
yeah,
I'm really
yeah,
big on this stuff. Lose the word should. You have to lose that. So if anybody wants to take anything solid from this call, lose the word should out of your vocabulary because it's one of the things that it's like an anchor that's going to hold you at the bottom of the lake and it's just going to hold you back. Honestly, I'm telling you, like it's psychologically, it plays so heavy on us and we don't even realize it. It's done at a subconscious level. But every time you say, I should do this, I should do that, you're beating yourself up.
yeah,
Like, just appreciate what you are able to do in a day. I call it shelving things. So I don't say no. I don't like no. They say, there's a lot of gurus out there and a lot of experts. And I even teach this, but I teach it a little bit different. People say no, learn to say no, learn to say no. I don't like that because it's not in alignment with me. I don't want to say no to things. I don't want to say no to people. And so what I do is I'll things that I can't do right now, I put it on a shelf. I have a
yeah.
little virtual shelf in the back of my head and I put it on the shelf to do later. And that's something I'm going to pull out when I'm ready, when I have the mental capacity and the time and all the resources that I need in order to implement that. So I just shelve things. And then when people ask me to do things for them, if I'm not able to commit or I'm not able to help them, I don't say no. I say, you know what? I'm not the best person for you right now because I can't commit to that. Or I tell them, you know what? I know somebody that could really help you with that. And so I help them in a different way. But,
Yeah.
I provide some assistance, but I don't like to say no. So I just change that a little bit. Yeah.
Brings us to our fifth and final question today. We talked about you being, your coaching program, having your coaching program. As a mentor, also you do a lot of speaking. So as a mentor, as a speaker, how do you tailor your advice to different types of real estate investors? Because there is some people that are beginners, but in the same audience, you're going to have people that are experienced investors. So how do you tailor the different types of advice to people?
I love how you ask this question. I don't know if these are the same questions you ask everybody,
No.
but okay, yeah. I love this question because I think that's what sets us apart from other education programs that are out there. So for us, we do tailor it to the people. Even in our group coaching program, it's strictly tailored to you because our program is a program, it's not a course. And so when you come in, we're going to give you a baseline education, but then we're giving you resources and we're also giving you action items to do to work on your own individual journey. And then we have one-on-one calls to check in with you during the program and make sure you're on track and answer
Yeah.
all your questions. So it's very tailored, even in the group coaching program. So it's not just education online, like it's really deeper than that. And most programs or courses are out there. They're just courses. It's all the same content. And truthfully, like all the content that we as coaches share with you guys, it's all out there online. We just have the completed puzzle and we're showing it to you, right? But the difference with us is that we reverse engineer the system, the process. So we always start with your goals. Like, where do you want to be? And then as we go through, then we start analyzing your situation. We actually build a roadmap with our students and like, okay, these are your goals. We dial that into a SMART goal, and then we reverse engineer that goal. And then we're like, okay, what resources do you have? We identify the weakest link. So then we know where you have to fill in the gap. So we look at your resources. And by the way, time is also a resource. When people think of resource, they just think money usually.
Yeah.
But time is probably the most important resource that I want to look at. I want to know how much time you can commit. And then also, who can you enroll to help you on your journey, right? And so that's a resource, is the people that you can enroll. So we look at your resources. Obviously, we look at capital, how much equity, and then we analyze all of that. And then we start helping you fill in the gaps. And then we're like, okay, these are the gaps you need to fill. And this is where you need to spend your time and energy. And then we build a foundation together for you to be able to go out there and invest securely. Because, I mean, when you build a house, where do you start? You start with the foundation, right? Yeah. And so that's really kind of how we tailor it. And then we're just with you along the journey, along your journey. You know, whatever it is that your goal is, that is our focus for you guys, the student, and then for us. Like, we have that goal. I had a student, you know, her goal was 50 by 50. So we're like, okay, we need to make sure we got a solid foundation, and then let's start looking at that 50 by 50 and then start getting some units. She was 42 or 43 years old at the time. I'm like, totally doable. 7 years? Hell yeah, no problem. That's easy. That's not a problem. But we need to make sure you have a solid foundation first. We need to get your financial house in order. We help you do that. And then we tailor the market and the strategy based on your personal situation. I mean, this is something we consult with you on. It's like, okay, this is how much resources you have. This is how much time you have. And this is, how much money you have. And then we put that together and say, okay, based on that, let's talk about the market and let's talk about the strategy, and then put it all together. So,
it's not a system in a box where it's the same for everybody. It is actually tailored, and this is so you can actually work, as I mentioned before the question, you can work with beginners, and you can work with experienced investors who just want to go to the next level. So really
well, the last round of our Pathway to Clarity and Prosperity program, which is the group program that we have, it's a 6-month program. We had somebody in there who hadn't even bought a principal residence, never bought his own property before. And then we had somebody else in there who had 3 or 4 properties. He wanted to level up into multifamily and wasn't sure how. And both of them, the one guy who is literally green, a complete newbie, never did any coaching, listened to a couple of podcasts. We got him house hacking in his primary residence. So he's closed on his property already, and he's doing renovations and house hacking that. He's house hacking that 2 ways, by the way. He's putting in a basement suite, and then he's a single guy. He's also going to rent out the 2 rooms in the upper unit that he's going to live in. And so he's house hacking like 2 ways. And he's doing duplex conversion. Like, there's so many layers of like different strategy that he's implementing, and just this one purchase, but that's going to elevate him and set him up to be able to do more in the future. And and the other guy, also a young guy, and just kind of did on his own, bought some properties and rented them out. And and then he ended up buying a 7-unit building and kind of broke through into that multi-unit space. And so now he's a multi-unit owner. And so he's really excited about that, and kind of help break through those ceilings and those barriers that you're feeling. Like, that's one thing that I love, saying is like, we're going to help you break through those ceilings that you're encountering, right? You plateau, we're going to help you get past that.
Danielle, it was such a pleasure having you on the show today. Usually, I'm going to tell you this, it's about the 20-minute mark, but we had a short podcast, me and you, at one of the events we met, and we know we can talk, but it doesn't matter. It went longer time, and every question you answered gave lots of values, lots of knowledge. So I'm really excited for people to hear this episode, and I hope everybody takes a piece of your knowledge on their journey. And
absolutely.
Listen, we'll have to find another time to continue our conversation.
100%. Yeah. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, they can just go to Instagram, hit me up in my DMs. I'm happy to, I love doing discovery calls with people. If you want to jump on a quick call with me, it's just a 20-minute call. Bring me your challenge. I'll help you through that challenge. And if it goes anywhere further than that, then great. If not, no big deal. I'm happy to help.
We'll make sure to put the links in the description.
Awesome.
Once again, thank you, Danielle, and we'll talk soon.
Whoop, whoop. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to the 5 Questions podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Stay tuned for more insights and tips to transform your real estate and business game. See you next time.